Pastor Julian here with Central's devotion for today. I hope you're doing well. You might be wondering, hey, Julian, what did you do? You got yourself in some real trouble. You're in Judge Judy Scheinland's courtroom. Well, no, I'm not really. This is just my background right now because I wanted to talk about Judge Judy. Judge Judy is probably the most harsh reality show judge that I've ever seen. She is brutally honest in giving her opinions. She is a judge that really doesn't tolerate a whole lot. And she sometimes seems merciless, although other times when she gives mercy, it's oh, Judge Judy, she has a heart. But she very successful show, and very famous judge. Hard to argue that there's a more famous judge than Judge Judy. And that's what I wanted to talk about today in our devotion is judgment, judging. And we just had celebrated uh, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And there's a very famous quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that I'm going to share with you, from his I Have a Dream speech. He said, I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. This is uh, right now today. um, we don't have the same issues that Martin Luther King Jr. was dealing with during this time, the major civil rights era of our nation. And people today, you can say they're based off the content of their character. Back then, it didn't really matter what kind of character you had. A lot of people were judged based off of the color of their skin. People just assumed things about them, and they just had just this uh, horrible way of judging others by superficial means, by falsities, by things other than the truth. It was an unjust judgment. I'm gonna I'm gonna share with you that Jesus has commanded us. Martin Luther King said that. Well, Jesus had actually commanded that's from Scripture. In John chapter 7, verse 24, Jesus says, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment." And some of you might be saying, well, Jesus says not to judge at all. Judge not, or else you're going to be judged. Well, that's more of a context of condemning people. Just you just walk around just constantly condemning and judging people, condemning them, and therefore you're going to wreak condemnation upon yourself because you need to get yourself right with God before you can judge others. But here, this is a different context. That other passage was from the Sermon on the Mount. This particular verse comes from Jesus speaking in the synagogue to the Jews who were trying to kill him. The Jews were in pursuit of Jesus because he had done something miraculous. He did a miracle, and he did it on the Sabbath. And the Jews were outraged, and they were upset. They believed that Jesus was a troublemaker, and they were after him. And the Festival of Booths was happening, very big in Jewish tradition. And Jesus was in Galilee, and his brothers said, "Come on, come to Judea with us. We're going to celebrate the Festival of the Booths. You should come." And Jesus said, "No, the Jews want to kill me, and I'm going to hang back here in Galilee." His brothers couldn't convince him to come, and so Jesus sat back. But then Jesus eventually decided, I am going to go to Judea for the Festival of Booths, and I'm going to lay low. I'm not going to reveal myself. I'm going to be covert, so to speak. But then he decided he wasn't going to be as covert, and he went into the temple and he started teaching, and people were blown away with his teaching. And then some of the Jews said, "Isn't this Jesus?" You know, they wanted to kill him, and Jesus started to talk to them about Moses and the law and circumcision, and how they don't get upset if someone's circumcised on the Sabbath, but for Jesus to heal someone on the Sabbath, they do judge and condemn. And so Jesus says, do not judge by what you think, by appearances, but judge with right judgment. So don't be rash. Don't be harsh in your judgment of others. Don't bring in preconceived notions into your judgment of a person or a situation. Always judge things with right judgment, as Jesus says here. Judge with right judgment. Judge justly. It's another way that you can interpret this. Be just in your judgment, and be merciful and be forgiving as Jesus has forgiven you. But I want to encourage you to follow what Jesus says here and to not judge by appearances, but to consider your judgment with right judgment. There hasn't been a time in our world's history where where there has really been this mob mentality of condemnation and judgment without knowing any facts. We live in the headline society, and we just, if somebody says something, you don't dig any deeper, you just go with it and you judge. And I want to warn you against that. I want to warn you against that. God bless you and have a great day.